going live. Hope you guys brought a cup of water to drink. Excellent. There we go. YouTube Live is still loading, so almost popping up now. Going live. All right, let me just mute that. All right, perfect. Gallery view. All right, guys, you can hear me fine. We're going to start this thing up.
I can hear you.
Okay.
That's good.
Perfect. Let me just actually share this YouTube Live link with our social media manager here so she can push that out. One moment. Try to get as many people in this room as possible. Again, guys, if you're in the audience watching, there's going to be an opportunity to earn some XTZ if you guys come through with your best quality questions, we'll call it. Only the highest of quality questions will be awarded. But I'm sure all of your questions will be high quality. All right, so let me introduce everyone here. And I'm really grateful that you guys are here, and this is going to be a really high quality event. So we have with us Clove Crypto Wallet and StakerDAO. We have from the Clove side, Siva, who's the CEO and Chief Architect over at Clove Inc. We have Steven, who is the Growth Officer over at Clove Inc. And from the StakerDAO side, we have Christian, who's the Staker Product Lead. And then, of course, I am your host today. I am the founder of CryptoLiveLeak Inc. and also the Tezos Boston Community Lead. And I also wanted to thank my new company, Block Relations, for facilitating this great event and matchmaking for the participants today. So shout out Block Relations. And then also our media partners. So there were some media partners involved here to help amplify our reach. Tezos Boston, Hayek Lab, Delegate, Tezos Capital, and of course, CryptoLiveLeak. So how are you guys doing? One more time. You ready for this?
Good. Yeah, good.
Ready.
We'll get this
Perfect.
started, yeah.
Again, the purpose of this event is to bring more awareness within the Tezos community to the Clove wallet. A lot of the community may know that, you know, the Galleon wallet, the Tezbox wallet are there to serve the Tezos community, but they may not know there's new players emerging every day. One of those players being the Clove crypto wallet. And they really, they want to be well recognized within the Tezos ecosystem. So it was natural to pair this AMA up with a representative from StakerDAO, one of the first assets to tokenize on Tezos, one of the first FA 1.2 assets, right? So we see some questions coming in, guys. We're gonna hop right into some prepared questions that we have. And then at the end of those prepared questions, we're gonna get right into the audience questions as well. So first is gonna be some softballs for you guys, just to warm you up. So we can start on the side of Siva and Steve on the Clove side. If you guys could just give us a little bit of your background, of your professional lives before you guys started and worked for the Clove wallet, the Clove crypto wallet company.
Sure. Yeah, I can go first. So this is Shiva here. I started developing web applications in 2000. So for 15 years, I built different internet scale distributed systems at several startups and household names like Amazon and Microsoft. At my first startup, we created the world's first web meeting and conference service that's just like Zoom. So it used to be called DimDim. We got acquired by Salesforce in 2011. And after a few years, I started hearing about blockchain. I think around 2016, I decided to deep dive. And that's when I put together a team and started navigating through the industry. And later in 2018, we registered Clove. And yeah, we built several applications, wallets, and a few other utilities, developer tools for enterprise blockchains and Bitcoin, Ethereum, Stellar, Tezos. Tezos being the latest, and thanks to Ken, we have been able to really get deep into it and started delivering value to the whole ecosystem now. Yeah, that's a bit about me.
Yeah, thank you, Siva. I'm also Steven from Clove, Officer of Growth, and I am from a variety of sources in the industry. So I began my career internally at organizations, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies, supporting their internal infrastructure for technology. I moved on to consulting for bigger and bigger and also extremely small companies, implementing HR, finance, payroll software, and kind of like getting in the know of their needs and helping them transition from older systems to software as a service. From there, I attended the Founders Institute, which taught me a lot about startup life, what it is to be a small business owner, where I met Siva, where we moved from there into the world of blockchain together, which I'm really excited about. From there, I've done some cool things such as judge a Babson College pitch competition for specifically having to do with Tezos and Tezos ecosystems strengths and weaknesses within mind. And I have really appreciated my time with BBA and other cryptocurrency organizations. And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's excellent, guys. Thanks for giving us that warm introduction there. And Christian, can you give us a little bit about your professional background before you joined the StakerDAO team?
Yeah, absolutely. So before StakerDAO, I wasn't in crypto full-time either. I was actually in traditional finance at a large bank out in New York City. And a lot of the work that my team and I focused on was really macro related. Some of it was looking at US economic recession. Some of it was just making tactical calls on certain regions or assets. But ultimately, some of the work that we really dived deep into was creating kind of these baskets of different kind of stocks to ultimately help our clients have a thematic idea in mind, whether that was like high taxes, low taxes, or stuff with like tax reform is stuff that we worked on. And so I kind of heard about crypto a couple of years ago through some colleagues who were writing research within that realm at other banks. And it's kind of how I got my start. And so it took me a little longer to go full-time into it, but decided to do that early last year. And so this opportunity with StakerDAO came up, and it fit really well with what I was doing at Deutsche Bank and what StakerDAO wanted to build. So that's kind of the quick background on my side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see the crossover with the baskets of assets that you were working with previously, as well as on the regulation tax side as well. There's a lot of crossover to what Staker's doing. Cool.
Right.
So we're going to get into some harder questions here. And if on the Clove side, if you guys at any point in time want to do a product demo or go to a screen share, just let me know and we'll set that up. And we do have 8 participants as attendees in the chat right now. So we're doing well there. So next question, what in the world is the Clove wallet, and why are you guys making it easier for new or existing users to obtain a cryptocurrency wallet? Second part of that question is, your slogan is 1 billion wallets. Explain to us what this means and how you plan to get there, because that's quite a big number.
All right, well, I hope nobody minds. I'm gonna go back to front. So why 1 billion wallets? Because blockchain, for whatever strengths it has, they all promise that they will be there for everybody. They're only really there for everybody if lots of folks use it. And so as we continue to build out the blockchain world and make it available to individuals and groups and make it be usable and practical and easy to use, more folks will come on, which will breed more folks to come on, which will make the entire network more valuable. That's why 1 billion wallets is so important. At around 1 billion wallets, we assume that we've reached critical mass to where the network effects of blockchain will really be seen by the world. That being said, our goals are totally in line with that, which is making blockchain available to folks, regardless of technical acumen or funds or international boundaries, things like that. We're encourage the world to use blockchain, and by making wallets easier to access and use and more useful while they are doing so, those are the things that we're really focused on to make blockchain a benefit to the world within our wallet itself. Siva, did you want to add anything else about that wallet?
Yeah, sure. I think the 1 billion number also signifies another thing, which is 15% of the world's population. So the idea is at 15%, network effects really starts kicking in. So the rest 85% of the world will start following the first 15%. So that's really the crossing the chasm part. So we assume that once we hit the 1 billion wallet number, the rest of the folks are going to be excited and they are going to follow. But getting there is going to be really, really challenging. So we really want to make it easy for people to get there in every way possible. So that's really what the 1 billion stands for.
Cool, excellent. And this is just a random thought, random question is, do you know what number of people already have cryptocurrency wallets in existence currently today?
Yeah, it's around 40 million. So 40 million being it's very tiny of the 1 billion we are hoping for. So even the 40 million, most of them use it through some kind of exchange, and they don't have real exposure to the tokens themselves. The actual cryptocurrency users, if I have to say, people who own their own non-custodial wallets, it's probably a million or maybe here and there. So it's very tiny. So it's probably 0.01% of where we want to be. So yeah, so that's really the actual usage. It's a long way. Yeah.
Cool. And yeah, that's definitely an admirable goal of you guys having that 1 billion wallet number, because, you know, we're all about mass adoption here at CryptoLiveLeak. We try to do things that help facilitate that mass adoption mindset. And so it's a, you know, it's a perfect match that we're helping you guys spread the message about that. And, you know, it's going to actually benefit the Tezos community a lot, because you guys are hyper focused on providing a quality solution, wallet solution for the Tezos ecosystem. And maybe you guys want to go into a little detail about what makes you so excited about Tezos. Why are you focusing so many resources into providing the solution for the Tezos ecosystem?
I would say it's no secret that Tezos is one of the more technologically advanced cryptocurrency networks or blockchain ecosystems. It brings both the ecologically sensitive power of proof of stake, as well as all the powers that proof of stake bring with it, which really lend themselves well to the consensus model and lend themselves to popular adoption. They provide immediate, almost DeFi services for folks, right? If they're simply looking to reap a reward of compound interest with the functionality that bakers provide. It really is a very, very well-rounded blockchain technology, where the smart contracts are just only barely being touched so far with their potential. And they are clearly a top 10 currency market share wise. So Tezo seems to be a extremely pure and extremely useful technology that we really do think has a lot of potential that we want to be there to help realize.
Yeah, and I mean, as part of the community with Tezos, we're super grateful to have you know, a team as quality as yours on board with helping spread the adoption for Tezos specifically. So can't thank you enough. And all right, getting back to Christian here, we definitely want to highlight Christian. He is here with StakerDAO. He's the product lead there, and he has, you know, all this great knowledge built up about what they're doing internally at StakerDAO. We're going to try to pry some of that out of him here. So bringing up the next question. Christian, can you tell us a little bit about some of your products in the pipeline and how that may relate to Tezos? And secondly, will Clove be a wallet solution of any of your future products?
Definitely. So, you know, I think with our first product, it's called Blend. And I think you're a little bit familiar with it, but for everyone else, Blend is a basket of proof of stake tokens. And the way we're kind of messaging Blend is essentially the easiest way to go along the best proof of stake tokens. And early on, we kind of made a decision to build it on Ethereum, but we ended up hearing a lot of feedback from the community and other participants within the Tezos ecosystem that there was just a lot of interest to bring Blend into Tezos. And so we heard that loud and clear, and we put up a proposal here in early May to make that available and to start building that out. And so we just had yesterday all 5 of our council members vote to approve that. And so we'll be working here over, you know, the balance of this year to build Blend on Tezos and bring it to that market. But I think outside of that, some of the things that we're interested in looking at are, you know, single token synthetics, maybe like a synthetic representation of Tezos, something like a stable coin, or maybe even an NFT basket. I think it's all part of a conversation that we're having with our community about what we want to do. But as a function of, you know, where these assets can be custodied, we definitely think that Clove could be a solution for it. There are some aspects with the staker side where it's a little bit more complex because it's security, but there are other tokens like Blend on Tezos, for example, that could easily be integratable with a wallet like Clove. And we think other assets that we build on Tezos could also come on live into the Clove ecosystem.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. And I'm glad there's some business development going on here between Clove, Staker, and the future products coming down the pipeline. And I hear you there. There was a lot of feedback from the Tezos community wanting to have Blend as a Tezos-based asset, you know, whether that's a one-to-one with the Ethereum version or whether that's solely, you know, Tezos version of the token.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very glad that you're listening to community feedback and working with Clove to provide, you know, some sort of solution around that. and as well as for future assets that come down the pipeline as well. So hopping back to Clove. So FA 1.2 Tezos assets. Are you guys currently supporting any FA 1.2 assets for Tezos? I know there's not many in existence right now, so it's probably only 2 tokens in existence that we know of. But are you guys supporting any of those? And do you plan to provide support for the FA 2 token?
I am actually very happy to announce that the minute FA 1.2 kind of got approved and communicated, we began internal development to play with our own potential FA 1.2 token, simply for the purposes of learning what would it be like, what is it like handling it.
I'm on 5 now. I'm going to read another one before.
And so what we did was do that practice round in order to prepare ourselves to support other FA 1.2 tokens and powers. So the next FA 1.2 token we targeted was TZBTC, which we now do currently support within our email Tezos wallet. That's a Clove wallet. And we have our eye on all of the things that StakerDAO has in the future in order to support those as well.
Excellent. And so did you mention a bit about FA2 token standard and how that's sort of now the focal point of the Tezos community? I know, was it TQ just released specifications around that standard recently? Any kind of thought for FA2? How do you guys see that evolving?
Yeah, that's a little bit new of a subject. Siva, do you have any news from the R&D side of things?
We definitely are looking into it at this point. It's very early, like you suggested, and we would love to work with any team that's building a token using FA2. So we really need a partner in this game to do it the right way. We have been using the standards to create our own test tokens, but it doesn't really matter till we get a real partner in that game. But we are looking for signing up someone who is looking to build FA 2.0 tokens and be the launch partner with them. So that's definitely part of the plan.
Yeah, audience, anyone listening right now, I want you to hear that loud and clear. If you're building an FA2 token, or if you already are building a FA 1.2 token, reach out to Clove. These guys are here ready to support you right out of the box. So please, we'll get to how you can reach out to them later in the AMA. But keep it in mind, this is a wallet that's ready to support you guys and your projects. I can already think of a project coming out of the West Coast. What was it? Stable Tez. If you're watching, reach out to these guys. They're ready for you. So I want to also remind, if there's any attendee right now, ask your question. Put the question in the chat. We'll get to those soon as we finish up with these pre-planned questions here. And you'll have your opportunity to earn your XTZ, and it will be distributed through the Clove email Tezos product. So that's going to be cool. We're going to watch a demo of that later as well. So, all right, hopping back into the questions here. So the next one is going to be for you, Christian. So what wallet solutions are currently available for the Staker token, and what requirements are needed for a wallet looking to support Staker or similar custom tokens?
Got it. So today, the really only current solution available for the Staker token is a wallet like Galleon. And so we did a little bit of work with them to provide kind of the ability to custody and visualize the Staker token for our investors. But the important thing to remember is that Staker itself is a security. And so that there's like limited functionality, and any movement of the token requires approval on the StakerDAO side. And so really some of the functionality that we want to see with a wallet over time is the ability to vote from your wallet for a new council. And that's something that's going to happen early next year for us. And the other aspect is that wallets need to have kind of a KYC process so that they might be able to hold something like a Staker token, right? It's not a utility token that can trade freely. And so it's something really important that we look for in a wallet.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to highlight that. So Staker is a security token, and there's actually going to be a whole lot of tokens on Tezos that plan to be security tokens. And you hit the nail on the head there. There must be some kind of KYC solution developed so that you can essentially know who's holding the token and stays within jurisdictions. There's a whole lot of legality behind these things. So I'm going to swing this back to you guys at Clove. Do you guys currently support any KYC solutions that would satisfy the requirements for this type of token? Or do you have any plans in the future to provide this sort of lightweight KYC support?
Yeah, good news is that we've heard from the industry pretty loud and clear that KYC AML requirements are simply something that we're going to all need to kind of be ready to support. That being said, we want to make sure our wallet stays easy to use as possible. So right now we're developing internally a lightweight KYC solution, as well as looking to integrating with partners in order to utilize third-party software to facilitate the real work behind it. So yes, we do definitely have those in our roadmap, and as needs arise, we can certainly speed those up, and we expect the turnaround would be minimal for a required securities token.
To add to that answer, I think the way we have approached this is we started creating a profile page that could be filled by a user, optionally by by accessing the wallet themselves. So it's not something that we envisioned as KYC initially, but it gave a good entry point for users to start filling up some details to access special functions of the wallet. I think that's where we decided to take this in the KYC direction, and partnering with other parties who could verify this data would really make this a lot valuable for staker or any token that's a security which would need to be unlocked upon verification of these properties attributes, right? So it's definitely in there. I think we have the right pieces already in place. We are definitely looking at probably working with CoinList or any other partner who will be interested in partnering there. So it's going to definitely have that balance between ease of use as well as a verification factor for it. So it has to be somewhere in between. We are trying to make that balance work. So let's see how it goes.
Exactly. Like, how is that going to work with 1 billion wallets with the mass adoption? Are you going to get everyone to do the KYC? Maybe it's where only people that are accessing a security token are required to do the KYC. And then you're providing the lightweight solution or the third-party solution that could help with the cost, on your end for maybe you're absorbing that cost, right? So a lot of things to think of. And I think the most important thing to take out of that mention is that you listen to the industry feedback. You want to keep facilitating these tokens on Tezos, and then you're willing to make the adjustments to do such. So that's exactly what we look for here as a Tezos community member, a company to do in order to succeed. So right on, guys. You guys are doing exactly what you need to. So getting more into the Clove product offering, could you guys just give me a brief description or a description between the Clove card and the Clove wallet, the email Tezos version of it, and provide insights on the product pivot or the product expansion?
Yeah. So the Clove card was our originally planned go-to-market solution. The Clove card was a physical card, either plastic or paper. On one side contains a public QR code, which when scanned launches a web app. Similarly, the other side is a private QR code, which also launches a web app. Depending on which one you scan, you're either simply looking at the profile and learning how do I send crypto to this account and what is the user-defined information that they filled out. And then the other side is where the user would have the full access to utilize the functions of crypto, such as staking in Tezo's case, or sending or using an adapt. So this was originally intended for the community that had been burgeoning, right? So much of crypto exists in events and in conferences and in hackathons. And we really wanted to bring the community the utilization of cryptocurrency to run their cryptocurrency communities, right? So that was what our initial aim was. As coronavirus turned out to be a thing, we recognized the need for moving specific events, in our case specifically, and Ken, you were with us on one of our first events that was scheduled to release about a week after closure of the city of Boston and Massachusetts due to coronavirus. With that knowledge, we recognized we can either cancel or make the show go on. And we chose to make the show go on by creating a limited function email wallet. from there, we realized if this is what we had to do to satisfy a physical event going virtual, this is the product to make go to market in a world that is now impacted consistently and into the future, we expect, by coronavirus.
So functionally speaking, we did bring in a lot of functions from the previous wallet, but this is a fully functional wallet that's built from scratch for Tezos, as compared to the previous wallet, which used to be a multi-currency wallet that's more focused on the consumer. So the difference being the cards were directly going to be distributed to the end consumers, and there was limited network focus. So there wasn't, at that point, we were more open and we considered all the tokens to be similar, like any multi-currency wallet would do. But we started learning the strengths of Tezos, and that's where we decided to take a pivot and started focusing solely on Tezos. So the idea being not all tokens are same, right? So they all have their strengths and weaknesses. And we wanted to dive deep into Tezos and highlight its strengths. And if that means dropping all the other tokens, we decided to do that. So we stuck with just Tezos and any tokens that might come out of Tezos. And we eventually did expect all the tokens that are regularly available would be wrapped into Tezos too. So that was the decision we had to make. And that was one big pivot from multi-currency to Tezos. And similarly, we did make the other pivot of going from physical to virtual, where we had to add additional security measures. The cards were pretty, what do you call it, decentralized. So anything, I mean, a card that's, the cards are printed on in our secure air gap machines. So it did have a good amount of decentralization where nobody really knew the key. It could be easily just passed on. And it had protective stickers on it and anybody could scratch it out. But in email, it's not the same. So emails could be read by any service that it's delivered to. And we had to be extra careful about sending links that could have private keys on it. So we had to do extra encryption, and that was a huge part of the work in the pivot area. I think that those are the kind of things that we did. But to be clear, I think both the products do exist today. So we do still support Clove cards, and it is in function. And what we have really done is operationalize the printing of cards, which means, I mean, like a private key and public key on a card is not new. It has been there since the beginning as in the form of paper wallets. But we did operationalize it in a way that anybody could order like hundreds or thousands of these cards. We did deliver thousands of cards actually. So you could print thousands of these cards. I mean, like place an order for that, and each of these cards would have its own unique keys associated with it, printed and sealed for protection, all within a secure facility, and can reach the consumers within the target date. So that's really where we shined back then. Now we have moved all that operations to email side, and we definitely have done well there too. So that's the two worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I could already envision, an event like T-Quorum distributing Tezos or Tezos assets. Maybe they create some sort of stable coin to go along with their conference to the participants via, either method, either product, maybe the physical card or the email. This could go for any Tezos community event. I know being a part of the Tezos Commons for a while, we were hosting a ton of meetups, in Boston and globally, where this product could be used literally every single event as a way to engage with your community, to show the utility of the token. It's just a total positive. And I hope that there's someone listening from those organizations that can, push that forward and help, utilize the product for the next physical or virtual event. And great pivot, amazing job for you guys to think on the fly just as coronavirus was hitting to come out with, the email Tezos product. And I mean, this is a great opportunity to ask, what unique features does the Clove wallet offer to the Tezos community?
Great question. And if we'd like, I can share my screen if that helps kind of tell the story while we go. The email Tezos wallet, takes the need of like a lot of technological knowledge out of the equation. So you don't need to install extensions on your browser. You don't need to know how to know where to store your seed phrase. You don't need to do a lot of things like that. So functionally, you can navigate to email Tezos.com, and you're presented with one screen where you enter your email address. So you simply enter your email address. It'll send you a link asking you to click through. You set a password. The combination between that link and your self-defined password is what defines your private key on the blockchain. I don't say it nearly as well as Siva does, but that's generally what you do to get on board. Once you're on board, you've got a wallet that looks like this. This is testnet, so worry not about finding out all my personal information on my finances. But once you log in, you're immediately presented with your balance, which will start with 0 likely. And you can see that you can do the sending and receiving like you'd expect and see your transactions. From here, there's a little bit extra that not all wallets would provide that we're pretty proud of. One, like we mentioned previously, we support TZBTC. So we do have the ability to support TZBTC and the sending and receiving of it, which is cool. Our first FA 1.2 token, first of many, hopefully. Additionally, you have the option to select bakers. Here we're in testnet, so we've got a testnet baker, but you have the ability to delegate your Tezos for the rewards that they provide for the fees, with the fees that they include as well. And we feature all the top bakers to do so. And we do have a section for dApps. So we have a coming soon game called Meme TZ, which has to do with meme generation using XTZ to transact. It should be a fun and interesting way. This portal here is where we would be interacting with maybe potentially some other dApps. So feeding you the option of utilizing the user's tokens in order to perform functions on your DeFi app, your game, your utility app, whatever the thing is. Those are some real neat functions. And then one level deeper into sending, and I hate to go on and on, is our ability to send tokens and currency via email address as well. So since we are an email wallet, why would we help users connect with other users via email? So if a wallet already exists, those funds are allocated to the wallet that already exists via Clove. If it doesn't, the user receives an email saying, welcome to Clove, here are your funds, congratulations. So you can do it via email or via a public key, which is a nice addition. And we do have the option to do with multiple destinations as well. So I think that's kind of like the summary of what's cool about our wallet. Siva, while I have the screen up, do you want to chime in with anything?
You covered it pretty well. So one thing I would probably just add to it is the send function, where the multiple email address function is probably going to have much more abilities, like maybe import from an Excel sheet or maybe MailChimp, or you could use this as a way to send it out to distribution lists if required. So it's really a cool way to distribute money, like you would distribute any content. So that's really where this is expected to go in future. And we do imagine email to be the email. Let's put it this way: email is definitely one of the most used, most successful, most spread out technology in the internet. And if we want to take blockchain, Tezos, any of these stuff to a lot of people, like 1 billion people, I think we got to hit it at the biggest pool. So we thought email is definitely the largest user base, and why don't we take Tezos to them? So the goal is we are going to stick with emails as the primary way to collaborate between users, trying to, what's that? So trying to kind of bridge the gap between internet and crypto. So the goal is not to bring internet to crypto, but the reverse. So it's more like, can we actually use our existing email identities to use in the crypto world? So that's really where we are going with this. And the keys are again non-custodial. I think the special part of this wallet is the whole thing is non-custodial. Unlike most of the email wallets out there, which are mainly just a user interface on top of a hosted wallet, our wallet is very different in that sense. The whole key is, the key actually is nowhere. So it's not stored anywhere. It's encrypted and stored in the server side just for quick recovery so that you don't type in your 12-word phrase every time. But other than that, it's totally encrypted, and the only way to use it, use it is from that exact link plus that password. So the link and the password is really what's making it happening here. Email is really just a way to store that link temporarily, but you could always request a link if you lost the link. So in future, we are envisioning people might hold multiple wallets in the same emails and stuff like that.
Excellent. Yeah. And I mean, it's a cool interface. I'm thinking of the masses. I'm thinking of a friend that I have that wants nothing to do with anything new. You know, they can still receive an email. That's not new to them, right? They can enter a password paired with that email link. Well, now they've just created this non-custodial wallet and they have access to it, right? So it's not like they're downloading a unique piece of software. They're not going outside their normal day-to-day. This is what is the key to breaking that barrier to mass adoption. 40 million cryptocurrency wallets is not a big number, right? I could see, this product doubling that in a year when this catches on, when this appropriately catches on. And so this leads into the next question. I did see you guys had the option to delegate and to bake some of the holdings there. Do you plan on down the line offering a baking service of your own, the Clove Baker? And if you did, would you guys have the technical ability or the plans to propose an on-chain proposal upgrade to the core Tezos protocol?
Baking is certainly one of the top functions and way to make money in the Tezos industry right now, right? It is something that we certainly have our eye on. As far as on either baking or doing on-chain kind of like development proposals, we are more focused right now on contributing to technological tools and dApps and apps at the moment than baking, but it's certainly in our roadmap for the future as well. So the answer is not no. The answer is we've got a lot of other things to do first, which are hopefully going to be a lot more fun and useful to the community, I would say. Siva?
Yeah, to add to that, I think there are some great bakers out there already, and we do definitely want to become a baker, but we wanted to fill in a gap where the wallets definitely need a good boost and improvement wallet space, right? So that's a value that we could add right now, and we definitely want to become a baker as the network grows and as there is more activity. I think there's this need for more and more bakers in the future, and we intend to totally be a baker. And the team is extremely technical, and we are a completely engineering focused group, and we do have all the skills necessary to participate as a baker and completely engage with the community and propose different upgrades in the future. But definitely at this point, it's a long-term goal. Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, guys. And this gives us an opportunity to highlight some of the media partners. A lot of the media partners were, local community bakers for this event that helped spread the awareness. And recently we've seen this huge consolidation of baking power to like the Binances, the Coinbases, and that's really killing what birthed the community, which is the local community baker. So the product you have developed is highlighting an avenue to get the user back to those local community bakers. And that was actually in a discussion with Phil from Hayek Lab. He pointed that out as being one of the biggest things that you guys are helping doing here. So he definitely appreciates that, and that's a good note to have. Okay.
So to add another point to the same answer, I think the reason why most of these funds are ending up in Coinbase and Binance is because most users are choosing custodial at this point, right? So the more and more users pick non-custodial wallets, that's where more of this is going to happen. So the goal is to make non-custodial wallets much easier to use, just like how you would use a custodial wallet, right? Just sign up with your email and start using it. So we got to use it. We got to make it that simple to use, but retain the non-custodial side of it. So that's really where we are coming in. Yeah.
And if you don't mind, I'll also add one more thing. And that is, as you mentioned before, we're happy to support the bakers that exist now. And there's a lot of high quality ones in the industry right now. If there are smaller or local bakers that are interested in being featured and not just existing on our wallet, please do reach out as well, because we certainly do want the democratic aspect of Tezos to continue to function well.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that's really going to hit home with the community. So you guys are doing good there. And just before we get to the chat, guys, we are going to be the attendees that are still here that have asked questions. We're going to get to you in a second. If you haven't asked a question, go ahead and put it in the chat. We'll get to you guys soon. We are almost done with these prepared questions. So one of the last ones before we get to the audience, I would like first, Clove, you guys can give us the answer, and then Christian from Staker, you can give us an answer. So obviously this is really unique times that we're living in right now with social distancing and the it's not advisable to go into a physical office, so to say. So how have you guys continued to work around that and work towards your goals in this unique social distancing environment?
I'll go again then, I guess. I did write a small article on Medium and publish OX, which I'm pretty excited about. And that's specifically the story I told about. We had these physical wallets, we had an event upcoming, and we had a need that was pressing and near term. And so what we did was we pivoted, and then we wrote about that pivot, and hopefully to inspire not only folks to use our wallet, but also inspire folks to recognize that we are in a changing world. And we can either ignore it, or we can try to swim upstream, or we can follow the current and deal with that with our oars. And so our oars, we're moving from a physical product to a virtual product. That being said, cryptocurrency has a new place in the world. International boundaries, international aid, charity work, financial application, utilization of assets, all these things need to be able to cross boundaries. They all need to be able to transact at a local level between people or between people and organizations. And it would be really nice if we could do that in a touchless way. I think that cryptocurrency is the quickest solution to removing paper currency, which is a vector for infection, as well as credit cards, which frankly can be as well. Minimizing transactions, allowing folks to do transactions through plexiglass, and then increasing the amount of non-attendant transactions that are possible through vending machines and vending sources. I think all of those are great potentials for the future, which we hope we can find partners to help facilitate. But these are things that we have in our minds for why crypto now, Tezos, a great commodity to do it with, and how we think the world can kind of be agile in the way it exists and to get through these tough times.
Excellent. And Christian, how about you? How about the operations at StakerDAO? How are you guys proceeding in this tough time?
Yeah, so, I think the nice thing at StakerDAO is that we kind of always envisioned being, remote first. So we have a team member out in London. We have a team member out in Israel. And so we're kind of continuing to push forward as we were before. But, one important thing on our side is that we did want to engage in a lot of hand-to-hand combat and meet with investors across the world. But what ultimately ended up happening with everything related to COVID is just a shift for us to more of a digital strategy, right? I think not too dissimilar from what Clove is thinking about. And so it's a lot of reaching out and, producing great content and just tuning into the community to seeing, what helpful materials we can push forward for them to get them involved into our product. And so I think that's how we're operating today. And, hopefully that will work out well for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad to see everyone still in business. I mean, that's a huge hurdle to just overcome in this environment. So you guys have developed plans to move around in this atmosphere, and it looks like everyone's thriving here. So without further ado, let's get into these audience questions. This is the opportunity for you guys to earn some XTZ, and it's going to be distributed via the Clove wallet, the email Tezos product. So super exciting. This is the interactive portion of the event. And I'm just going to go through here. I'll read the name, and if you guys need the email address, you let me know. I'm assuming this will be distributed after the event, or is this going to be, yeah, after the event? Okay. So we have, first question is going to be, we have Michael Boise, who is practicing email Tezos, and he's super pumped. Okay. We've got Daniel Foster. Question to all panelists. 1 second here. Let me just remove, looks like someone added in. 1 second. Question to all panelists. So Daniel Foster, he dug in. He's super excited. With the level of efficiency that Clove is proposing, what will the next 5 years look like if you could have your way and your solutions were fully implemented? seems like the most difficult barriers to entry are solved here. So assuming everything is going the way you want, what does the next 5 years look like for you guys at Clove?
Well, I was going to say we have a great example of that, and we're dealing with it now, the pandemic. So theoretically, the power of an email wallet where you can transmit funds to folks who don't even have a wallet yet, who would like one, and the barrier to entry is simply inventing your own password after accessing your inbox. We would hope that we find almost a viral uptake in wallets, wallet use, currency use, and specifically with regard to Tezos and then assets built on Tezos. So I think that's the short answer for me. Siva, do you have a more specific one?
Yeah, so first of all, I think 5 years, I'm guessing it's hypothetical. It's very tough to predict anything 5 years down the line in crypto. So things are definitely moving very fast, and we are trying to adapt with the flow. So we are definitely looking to add value to the ecosystems we are part of. That's really the idea, but not just add value, but also help drive adoption. So the goal is any ecosystem we enter, we want to be multiplying the number of people who use those ecosystems and bring more people in so that the network effects kick in. So really the 1 billion wallet number is what I would say a 5-year goal would be. So kind of like enable 1 billion people to enter crypto, like any asset that we support, right? So it doesn't matter if it's 1 or 2. The goal is to go across and support multiple ecosystems. But Tezos being the first few years goal, we definitely are looking at moving beyond. I'm moving to specific ecosystems, not go wide like, oh, we support like 1,000 tokens. That's not really the goal, but stick with the promising ones and help them go big. That's really the goal. We want to stay on the ecosystem side, but also get users on board. Instead of going on the consumer side and trying to say, oh, you have all this 1,000 coins and they are all same. That's not really the goal. So yeah.
Cool. And Christian, how about from the staker side? Everything goes your way. What does the ideal situation look like in 5 years for you?
Yeah, so I think, the vision for some time has been kind of like a decentralized asset manager. So one aspect is definitely expanding our governance. Today, we have maybe about 30 participants in the Staker token, but over time, we'd like to see that expand out to hundreds, all kind of contributing to the vision of what we should be building out and how we should be managing that. And so I think hopefully over time, we won't just have blend, right? We'll have multiple assets, whether again, it's like an NFT basket or even real world assets on a blockchain. We hope that all kind of develops over time. And I think like that's the meat of where we want to go.
Excellent. And I think Daniel Foster earned his reward there. Good question, Daniel. Next question is from Brian Hugh. What are your top ways to fuel mainstream adoption of Tezos? And what role do you see digital wallets playing in that work to expand awareness of cryptocurrencies and blockchain tech? Clove, you guys want to answer first?
Yeah, that's a really good. Thank you, Brian. So fueling adoption, right? The ability to email both funds and asset and a wallet to a user fundamentally changes the game. So it's not only why don't you do these 17 steps, which are probably kind of hard or you might not understand, or install these things and hopefully it works out on your particular machine. It's simply there's an email in your inbox, click the link and set a password, and you'll get the Tezos I sent you. So that's one way to fuel the number of folks, right? But that doesn't solve the what do I do with it question. Our aim is to not only attack the industry from creating libraries and technologies internally that help developers and companies utilize the blockchain better themselves, but also provide customer-facing kind of like assets that they can use as games and dApps, as well as supporting all the other organizations that either create the assets or the dApps and facilitate the use and the velocity of use of them within the wallet itself. We see ourselves almost as a hub for these activities, whether they be ones that we generate ourselves or ones that we're promoting for you.
Excellent. And Christian, I'll just repeat that. So What are your top ways to fuel mainstream adoption of Tezos, and what role do you see digital wallets playing in that work to expand awareness of cryptocurrencies and blockchain tech?
Got it. So, I think one of the main ways we're working toward building out adoption in Tezos is we, of course, built Staker on the Tezos network, but I think we try to fuel that further by building Blend on Tezos, which we kind of talked a little bit about before. But in terms of why we built Blend, kind of the reason we thought about building Blend was, again, that messaging around the easiest way to go long proof of stake. A lot of our thought process was, well, there's a ton of proof of stake tokens. There's a lot of validators out there, and it's a very technically complex process to figure out how to do this. And so we just wanted this product to be the easiest way for people to participate. And to that end, we have the product, but I still think we need a way to onboard users so that they can access this product in the easiest way possible. And I think a digital wallet might be a good solution to get these more mainstream users to come into the space.
So I like to add something too. So I think one missing piece that we will probably bring in the future is the voting process, and probably even creating a DAO or participating in a DAO through the app or the wallet. So the idea is most of the higher level functions inside a blockchain network, like things that are done within the big stakeholders, that happen completely isolated, and most people don't even know things like that are happening. So for example, most of the Tezos users probably don't even know that there's something called Agora, right? So, bakers do know, I think significant number of people know, but not the ones that probably use just Coinbase, right? So the thinking process is, can we actually bring in more of these lightweight voting options? Is there a way for people to participate even at a entry level? So is there more things to do? I think the meme app that we built is kind of proposing that idea where can people use these kind of tokens to vote on things that they want to see happen, right? And that's kind of the core of Tezos too, like the governance model of Tezos that is driven by such a spirit. So we definitely want to bring a lot of that into the wallet too in future, to make people aware of the available proposals, options, and participate in that based on their abilities and stake that they have. So one of that that also means getting Blend and Staker kind of tokens with their tool sets, along with whatever that's needed to actually participate with those tokens, not just hold them, but actually use them. So that's one example of how you would use a token. So there are several ways to use a token, but we definitely want to go one by one, and using is part of the wallet. Using is going to become part of the wallet in future. And it's not going to be just holding, so it's going to be using too. That's where we want to go.
Yeah, and that's really exciting. I think if you listen carefully, if the audience listens carefully to what you just said, they might see, where your future actions could lie. And maybe, Stephen, you could give us a little explanation. I know you already touched on it a little bit about the game, the voting game, the memes game. Maybe just another high-level overview of what exactly that game does and demonstrates.
Yeah. So the game itself is meme-based. So participants have gain the ability by submitting their Tezos to add a caption to a particular image, one of several images. And so you add a caption to it, and then directly after that, you get the option to vote on a number of games, which ones you think are the best captions. And so we're using a little bit of a democracy to determine what is the best response to this particular meme. We have a showcase of top memes that were created, and you get a chance to win a portion of the pot by having either created the best meme or voted on the best meme. So that's kind of like a fun way to exercise your creativity, as well as kind of stake your tokens and then maybe see a reward from it, other than just participating in a fun game.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's great proof of work concept for potential voting tools coming down the line. So I like that segue. So good job from the question from Brian. And I think you qualify for the reward, Brian. So I also want to say we do have the YouTube questions up as well, guys. We're getting to those soon. We're just on the webinar questions now. So we'll work our way to YouTube after these. So we have Gloria Hernandez. To all panelists, what is the set of technologies behind Clove crypto wallet that allows sending, receiving, etc. Tezos without the need to download an application and interact directly with the blockchain. Maybe there's some clarification you guys can add to that on the Clove side. So technology behind the
It's
Clove
on mute
wallet.
at the moment, but Steve is going to take that question for us, I believe. Steve, are you here
Yes,
with us?
I was on mute. Okay, so fundamentally, Clove wallet, the email Tezos wallet, is a web wallet. So all of our wallets are web wallets, and we have built the necessary, I would say, boundaries to make sure a web wallet could function securely inside a browser. So kind of like how Ethereum wallets used to work with the Web3 library on the browser side, it's very similar to that. We have enough abilities on the browser today that could completely create a transaction, sign it, and submit to the network all from the browser, just from the web page. We don't need any specific application to do that as of today. It's just that it's extremely complicated to get someone to that page where this can happen. I think the access part is what is tricky. Submitting the transaction itself is quite simple, and I think Kyc app and there are other apps that already do it for Tezos pretty well. So we are practically following the same web wallet approach. Additionally, the thing that we do is emails. So we are making the emails as the entry point instead of trying to add additional steps for a user to get to that place where they can start doing the transactions on a web page. So these are two different technologies that we bring together in this case. So the set of technologies that are needed to do the whole transaction, do all kind of different functions and operations from a browser. And the second one is a set of technologies that's needed to link an email user to a wallet. So those are the two buckets, and there are multiple technologies that allow that to happen. That's high level, yeah. Okay. I mean, if I can get deeper in another webinar, maybe, so which is technically focused.
Or contact us to know more.
Sure.
Exactly. And speaking of content, for the Medium article that Stephen mentioned earlier, that he wrote on the Clove experience from transitioning into a work from home environment, he did post that link in the Zoom webinar chat. But if you guys were to Google, perhaps if you're listening on YouTube, Clove and the Black Swan and blockchain. So Clove / the Black Swan and blockchain, you'll be able to find that article there. So next question, another Daniel Foster question here. So he's looking to double dip on his rewards. No problem. In terms of Tezos and Algorand, in terms of what Tezos and Algorand are offering, you guys will be directly involved with these projects and their missions are huge. No Moonboy stuff. So I think he's respecting that you guys are sort of working with, legitimate projects and you're not really here for the Moonboy stuff, right? You guys are a serious project that's, focused on real world aspects, and you guys want to just maybe make some statements to reaffirm that?
I think that's pretty well covered. So the idea is to stick with the projects that are showing initial traction, but are struggling to gain the mass adoption. So we want to bridge that gap. So we like to stick with projects that have already proven their worth to the world. I think that's definitely the starting point. And aligning with the missions, I think that's a very nice word. We definitely are looking to form individual teams for each of these ecosystems we are partnering with and have teams focus on those ecosystem strengths. So if you are doing something for Tezos, it has to be focused for Tezos users and Tezos ecosystem. We can cross-pollinate our ideas, we can bring ideas from other ecosystems, but we have to stay true to that ecosystem, right? So that's really the goal. Where each ecosystem that we want to be in, we will have a dedicated team that is focusing on that particular ecosystem, understand how it works, who are the customers, what do they need, and what are their goals, and try to help them reach their goals instead of trying to sell something out there. So yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, that lines up exactly with the Tezos Boston ethos, our mission here, our personal mission at CryptoLiveLeak. So it's exactly why we're hosting this for you guys. Everything aligns, and there's a certain seriousness to it. So we're getting into now our last set of questions from the YouTube channel. So I'm estimating like 15 to 30 minutes more here, guys. We have some feedback. We got a Jimmy Ferreira, hi. We got a Jonas saying hello. Ant Farmer, hello. Alex L, you guys are looking good. Jimmy Ferreira asked a question here. Jimmy Ferreira, what are the benefits of staking with Tezos, and how can it be different from others? It's sort of a general question. Maybe it's a chance for you guys to tap into that knowledge base you have for Tezos and demonstrate it here. So quick answers.
Yeah, I can take that. So if I'm not wrong, the question is why stake with Tezos? Is that the question?
Yeah. What are the benefits of Tezos, staking with Tezos over other proof of stake assets?
I'm not familiar with all of the proof of stake assets. I think maybe Christian is much better at that. They are definitely dealing with multiple of them.
Right.
So to give my quick answer, I think Tezos is definitely one of the first ones, and it has a delegated proof of stake model, which I'm more excited about. And it also depends. I mean, if you're going by numbers, I think reward percentages does. I mean, there is a higher reward percentage on Tezos right now. Maybe there are a few other networks that are higher, but I'm not here to promote the prices of any network, so I'm not going to talk about that. But this is all about believing in a system. So Tezos model and the ecosystem and its mission and the governance model makes more sense to me. So I would probably stick with Tezos compared to any other network. But if you're looking to stake, I would suggest following a distributed approach where you put a little bit on all of them. And that's where Blend comes in very neatly. So yeah, I'll let Kristen add that comment.
Thank you. Yeah, I think to jump on maybe why specifically Tezos, I think on the staker side, we really own in on the governance aspect of StakerDAO. Despite everyone talking about governance all the time related to StakerDAO, to Tezos, it's really the main differentiator for Tezos. And I think we see that really with the high participation across the bakers within the Tezos ecosystem, as opposed to other projects that we see in other networks. And so I think that's one key aspect. I think another aspect is really the successful protocol upgrades that we've seen. We've had Athens, Babylon, and Carthage up to this point. And I think the last point is really just kind of the war chest that the foundation has to really push forward the ecosystem within Tezos and kind of continue to fuel the development that it will have over time. But otherwise, we've started to really see some projects start to bloom and have some initial traction without really more organic growth, I guess I would say. So I think that's why we're interested in it. Of course, we also like other proof of stake tokens within the space.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks for giving some insight there, guys. It was much appreciated. And Jimmy Ferreira, you've earned your reward. And going back to an earlier question, Gloria, you've earned your reward as well. So moving forward, we have Zelda Wait. This is in the YouTube chat. I'm not sure if these are actual names. So if you guys are in the YouTube asking questions and you haven't submitted your email on the webinar, feel free to private message me your email and we can make sure you're taken care of for the reward. So Zelda Wait, will you be strictly focusing on Tezos or any plans to expand to other cryptocurrencies? I know you guys mentioned Algorand, but is there, outside of the FA1.2 assets, outside of the FA2 assets, any other cryptocurrencies on your radar for Clove?
So we are very open to folks who are interested in promoting their particular token on their particular ecosystem. Like we mentioned previously, we do have the other web wallet version of our wallet, which is a multi-currency wallet that can support any that we know of cryptocurrencies. And so it's just a matter of development. Now, the question is like, who needs that development? Reach out to us, let us know, and we'd be happy to do so. But do we have initial plans? Right now, we really are focused largely on Tezos and Algorand. Put a pin in it. Let us know what your needs are, and we'll let you know whether or not we're going to move into that direction.
Yeah, I think it's two-way. So we are going one network at a time and going one by one based on what we see but we are open to suggestions. So if there is a new network coming up, we are definitely watching. So it's not like we hear about it for the first time from somebody. So we are already watching, right? So we have a list that we are watching constantly, and to just give an idea, Algorand is definitely on top of that list, but Polkadot, and there are other networks that we have our eye on, and Ethereum 2.0 is also one of them. But all of these are very far away at this point. We really want to, let's put it this way, we really want to make it work at one ecosystem in the first place, right? And once it works, we definitely will be launching individual wallets. So at this point, we feel it would be probably email algos and email ethereum.coms, and they're going to be different products. And as a consumer, you will have a way to switch between these wallets, and you can own all of this in a single email. Like you probably end up with multiple links, and we can even find a way to just switch between the links within the same app and all that. But these are going to be different products built in its own timeline, in its own roadmap. So they have different functions, and we want to make sure that we do justice for each of the product we pick.
Excellent. And yeah, that qualifies Zelda Wait for reward there. Thank you for providing insight there, guys. So Ant Farmer has a question here. It's a little bit of anyone can hop in and answer this. It's a little bit of a what if. So could Tezos work alongside a savings account? So they must be thinking about interest in a savings account, right? In Alberta, the taxpayers own the Alberta Treasury Board, which is a bank, and they want to know if maybe a Tezos account could be delegating integrated with a bank product. Is there any way you could see this, any kind of Tezos solution be integrated as a bank product?
Well, think about the Tezos community as a whole, right? The Tezos community is run by folks who possess ownership of those Tezos and vote based on those ownerships, right? So right there, I'm not sure how the Alberta banking system works, but right there, there's already the interaction between ownership and management, or ownership and the organization as a whole. That's one example of that's like out of the box what Tezos does. So there's a yes, I would say. A barrier to entry is governments, right? So a lot of the functions that Tezos provides as an ecosystem are ones that banks do currently. So is there a great answer there? There really is. Will it get done? It's a lot of red tape and a lot of work to do, I would say. Siva, do you have any specifics on that, or Christian?
I think you covered it well from as best as I probably could have. So nothing to add else on my side.
I do feel that there might be, I mean, like Tezos is a very good platform for building a CBDC in future. So a good central bank digital currency model can be built around Tezos. So I do see that potential being there, but right now there's none. So I'm going to answer that. It's yes, possible, but is it happening right now? No. So yeah.
Okay. And
somebody send the Alberta bank our email address, and we'll be happy to get started on it if they're interested, for sure.
That would make headlines for sure, right? Local cryptocurrency wallet integrates bank, right? So that actually leads into the next question here. It's a good segue. Do you guys have any current plans or future plans to work with government bodies to help integrate these type of solutions?
We are going to stay open and definitely following all the regulations of the land. So so if we are not looking out, but we are definitely open. So if there is a good opportunity, we are willing to engage. And it's definitely not going to be just us. It's going to be a set of team. I'm guessing it's when you work with somebody like some body like government, I think there has to be multiple partners who come to a consensus that this is a good idea, right? Just a wallet company is not going to be enough. So we need a currency, we need a wallet company, we probably need a holding company that's going to hold these assets. And it's going to be different pieces in that puzzle. And we are definitely looking forward to join one such organization that might be working with the government body. Yeah.
Excellent, guys. Thanks for the insight there. So Ant Farmer, you get the reward. Next question here. Is there so if I'm on a mobile phone, this is from SB Kunwar. If I'm on a mobile phone, can I still access email Tezos?
100%. So the wallet was designed with mobile first in mind. So when you render the wallet on your browser on your phone, it should render like the best web page for mobile devices that you ever see. If you do find issue, please do let us know with our contact information that we'll talk about later. But yes, it is meant to render perfectly on your phone. And if you can access your email from it, then you can, and you know your password, you can access your wallet.
Oh, okay, excellent. And let's see, next question here. So from Jimmy Ferreira on YouTube, how do you plan to reach older adults with these technologies? I guess this is from both the Clove perspective and the staker perspective.
So
yeah, I can take it.
Go ahead, Siva.
Yeah. So I think email is probably one of the most used among the older demographic, right? I think they are definitely like warming up to social networks, but email is definitely still there. So if you are using internet, I think email is out there. So anybody who can use the email at the basic level and click a link, knowing that it's not a spam. So if they can manage that level, I think the wallet is going to be completely useful and accessible to them. So I'm going to just say anybody with the email, even if they are from a different demographics, I think it's going to function the same way. There's nothing complicated in the email. It's just one big link on a button. And yeah, we have tried putting QR codes and stuff like that in past, and it definitely creates friction among the older generation, and they're not very used to QR codes, and there is a big question about, oh, what's this? What do I do with this? So I think we reduced all that. I mean, we still can have a QR code, but at this point, it's just a link that they need to click. So it definitely is very simple. So yeah, it works for them.
Yeah, and on our side, on the StakerDAO side, I think we just tried to make a product that might be familiar to the older generation. And so when you think of Blend, we try to message it as like an ETF or mutual fund. And so very similar to what most people would have within their own retirement account or just general investment account. Most people aren't, stock pickers, and maybe they don't want to be token pickers either. And so kind of just packaging up a product that has the diversification that someone might want and the exposure in that industry.
Yeah, and I just want to pile on there with the Blend product that you guys are going to be offering. That really hits home. I'm a former ETF collateral guy at a custodian bank, and not only can I relate to the basket of assets, but now you're having like dividend paying assets in the form of staking tokens, right? So it's coming full circle to what the older generation or the traditional finance world can recognize. And then having the email solution for them to use as well. I mean, that hits it on the head. That's a technology they can understand at this point, and you shouldn't see much barrier there. And we're seeing a lot of feedback in the chat. These guys are testing out email Tezos. They're loving it. They're finding it very easy to use, even as a new user in the blockchain space.
Great. And if I could just toss in a little bit more about older folks. So what we think at Clove we bring is the how to the equation. And we think the how, either it be our physical Clove card wallet or our email Tezos wallet, either one of those we think takes out the difficulty of how. The why, we're happy to partner with folks to give reasons why, such as will or estate planning, bingo, whatever kind of applications we could layer on top that would be useful for an older generation. I think the community as a whole is currently bringing, and we definitely have it in mind too.
Excellent, good points. And awarded to crypto, the reward goes to Jimmy Ferreira there. Very good. And some other feedback in the chat is this is very educational. People are really appreciating that we're doing this here. Zelda Wait is this person's real name, so we'll have to cross-check the list. And one last question from the YouTube chat, and then we're gonna finish with two other questions that came in during the promotional phase. So Jimmy, I am new. How does he know if a project is the right one? he sees so many cryptocurrencies out there and he thinks they all follow Bitcoin. But for you guys, what makes Tezos different than other cryptocurrencies? I know we kind of already hit on this throughout, but maybe just very quick.
Yeah, so I think reiterating the governance aspect of it, I think one important thing to look at is always, the team behind it. And so I think we had two very bright people who started the Tezos project, but over time they've kind of handed off some of the reins to the development teams on there, including Nomadic Labs, Cryptium Labs, and you have obviously the foundation, these other organizations across the world that are fully committed to the vision of Tezos. And so always spending a good deal really analyzing what the best aspects of a token are and whether it makes sense and it's not just some kind of cash grab to some extent.
Excellent.
Hey, Ken,
And
there are some questions on the Q&A section of the Zoom.
oh wow.
Yeah, there are like 10 or 15 of them. I don't think we have time for all the questions. So yeah, you got to prioritize the questions.
Okay.
I think some of them have been covered already. Yeah.
Yeah, they have. Let's see if I can filter through some in here. Okay, why are staker and blend tokens securities instead of utilities? Isn't that a bit opposed to the main goal of DeFi, which is decentralization?
Got it. Yeah. So, on the staker side, staker is a security. It's kind of just the way we have to operate in today's regulatory climate to essentially be able to bring investors on board. Again, we hope to be able to facilitate a much wider process where we onboard hundreds of investors into the stakers token. But I think that will happen over time. And we think there's a path to decentralization from centralization, and it can't just be all immediately at once. On the blend side, it's not a security per se, but we are offering it as a Reg S on CoinList. And so it will only be available to non-US investors. We hope that over time, we're able to bring this back into the US as regulatory and legal laws kind of adapt. But I think it's just the nature of how things are today. And we think that other projects that might come out as simply utility token, or you can think of like Maker, there's a huge legal liability hanging over their head. And I think with the staker side, we just wanted to make sure that it was a security because there is that value that accrues to it. And so, yeah.
Excellent. And I'll take one more of these questions here, and then I'm going to finish with where to find more information for you guys. How do developers, programmers contribute to a leading crypto wallet like Clove? What types of things do you focus on when you're building? UX, encryption, AML, KYC, etc.
So we are yet to open source the wallet. So it's going to be open source. So this technically the launch. So we haven't really talked about it yet outside. So outside the group. So this, I think in the next few days, you can expect the wallet to be open sourced, and all these areas are definitely work in progress. And there are so many different functions that we want to build around KYC and encryption, and there are different user experience problems that we are trying to solve. So there's going to be an active repository where there are at least 5 to 6 developers already contributing, and we could definitely, it would definitely help more developers and programmers contribute to it, and we'll share the link publicly once it's open source. And all these areas do need help. So yeah.
Okay, and just a quick one here. So why does a fintech DApp use your wallet rather than building out their own native wallet for the section of DApps that you guys have there?
So I think this is definitely a question that we have wondered about ourselves. I mean, we have built dApps in past, and we have built it with wallets in them. So there are so many dApps that come with their own wallets, and there are both varieties where dApps actually use some kind of browser plugins to delegate the wallet function to that external wallet. So what we see is users are not going to be happy about having their tokens and assets spread out across 10 different applications, right? I think that's what that's the problem you see in internet. every service you use, you kind of let the data sit there in each of these different services. You don't even know how much data is out there. You don't have a consolidated view, and consumers are struggling to find out what's out there, right? You definitely want to avoid the same situation with blockchain. Each dApp, if it starts out with its own wallet, you're going to end up with so many different wallets, and it's going to be extremely tough for anybody to even consolidate what's happening. So the goal would be to, for us at least, we imagine that people would be using probably a limited set of wallets. I wouldn't say one or two, but it might be multiple, kind of like how many apps you use on your phone. Imagine that many wallets you might use, but not more than that. Not with every app you use, you don't expect to use a wallet. So it's somewhere in there. I think the larger dApps would want to use their own wallets for whatever reasons. The ones that are launching just out of nowhere, I think they would need a lot of onboarding and ramping up from other wallets. So yeah, I would say, yeah, there is no clear answer, but there are both sides of the world, yeah.
Okay, excellent. And that's a reward for Andrew Elkins as well. So at the risk of running too long, are you guys satisfied with the amount of questions you've answered? Are you okay to move to the final phase?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we do that, though, I do want to say, like, if y'all have dApps, tokens, etc., that you're interested in, like, we need to hear from you. We want to provide the utility and the fun and the whatever your dApps or tokens bring to the world. Let us know. We'd be happy to evaluate them and determine whether or not it fits well in our wallets.
Exactly. That's a great point. Reach out to these guys. They're very willing and very hungry to work with you. From experience, they're very relatable too. And I hope you guys saw some of that come through on this AMA today. Is these guys are very easy to work with, and they're definitely able to come up with solutions that fit your needs. So on that note, if someone wants to get more involved in your ecosystem, how can they, as a participant, community member, or contributor? I guess we can start with Clove, and then we can end with Staker.
Yeah, well, please feel free to contact us at email@clovecrypto.com. Additionally, we are on Twitter, Clove Crypto, and those are the two best ways to reach us. We do have a YouTube channel. If you'd like, check out our videos, like, share, subscribe, and put any comments you'd like. We'd be happy to get back to you. But our website, clovecrypto.com, has all of our products and a little bit of information on all of them. Follow up, find out more.
And on the Staker side, one way to get involved, of course, is to be a Staker token holder. If you want more information related to that, feel free to reach out to me as well, Christian@StakerDAO.com. Otherwise, most of the discussions for our vision and product happen across our social media channels, and the most active conversations are on our Telegram and on our forum, which we'll, I think, put links to within the chat.
Excellent, guys. And thank you so much for joining us here today. Again, that is Siva, the CEO and Chief Architect of Clove Inc., Stephen, the growth lead at Clove Inc., Christian, the Staker product lead at StakerDAO, and myself, the community lead at Tezos Boston and the founder CEO of CryptoLiveLeak Inc. Again, thank you so much for joining us, guys. Thank you for the quality questions from the participants, and we will be sure to get those rewards out to you guys shortly after this. So stay tuned and check your email addresses. And if you haven't submitted your email address on the webinar registration, feel free to send a direct message if you're from the YouTube channel. So, all right, guys, this was fun. I hope we get to do one of these again. And, all the best to the future.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ken. And
Bye.
Christian, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Siva.
Thank you, guys. See you.
Welcome. Take care.